Phil Light, folks. Welcome to a rather different edition of Biker Elf Squirrel. Ruth's not particularly feeling the love for having cameras on today, but we are out on the bikes. So I've got all the cameras on instead. Today there's no real agenda, no plan, we're just going for a bit of a ride out. Although there is a nice poppy display somewhere, where did you say it was? In Desborough? Yeah, sorry, you won't be able to hear Ruth because she's not got a mic on, but there's a little village near us called Desborough, and apparently there's a really lovely display of poppies there for Remembrance Sunday, or Remembrance Week. Ruth's just telling me that Desborough's not a village, it's a small town, but there we go, I stand corrected. So we're just going to have a look at that, really. We're probably not going to be out for terribly long, but it is a lovely day. The weather has been rubbish for quite a while, and I've actually not been very well. I've had a horrible stinking cold, but we're out again now. But as I say, Ruth's just not feeling the love for it, so you've just got me, although she is up in front, obviously. So last weekend, we were all on the bikes, and we had sort of good intentions of putting the cameras on. I say we were all on the bikes. Obviously Ruth was on her bike, I was on my bike, but we had our youngest on the back of my bike. We were down visiting friends for a pirate-themed birthday party, which was awesome. It was a really good evening. But we had lots of plans to put cameras on, and in fact they sat in my rucksack all the way down and all the way back again, and we never used them. But it was one of those trips that started out as being, oh well, yeah, that should just be about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and it ended up every single major road that we wanted to use was shut for some sort of roadworks or some other reason. So what should have been a 2.5 hour ride was about 4.5 hours, and the surprising bit of it was how well our youngest coped being on the back of the bike for 4.5 hours. I say it was 4.5 hours. It wasn't 4.5 hours of riding, but it was 4.5 hours total journey time. But we did have to stop at an obligatory McDonald's to keep the 9-year-old happy and keep his tummy full. But it was an awful lot of Ruth's just saying, and hers. But it was an awful lot of fairly boring motorway riding, which the youngest seemed to enjoy. It doesn't seem to be. He was waving at everybody going through lines of traffic, etc. We did a fair bit of filtering. I think I challenged Ruth's filtering appetite a couple of times because I was happy to filter and she wasn't. And I had all 3 boxes on, so I had the side panniers on as well. But going around the ring road around Oxford was a bit of an interesting challenge. So it is nice. Ruth was just saying, it is nice to be out on the bikes and not on motorways and dual carriageways. A lot of my riding when I'm on my bike is up and down to work, which is in Reading. There's a fair chunk of that is motorway until I get down to the sort of junction for Princess Risborough off the M40, and then it's across the Chilterns, which is quite nice. It's quite nice riding in the summer. It's a little suspect sometimes at this time of year, so this is November. And the principal reason for that is you get leaves, pine needles and grit and rubbish accumulating in the middle of the lane, which means that at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm going to work across the Chilterns, you come around a corner, there's no option unless you want to go through a bunch of potholes, there's no option but to be in the centre of the lane, and you put yourself in all this crud, which is not great. But so it's nice to be out in sort of roads that are local to us, and on a dry day there is some sort of damp patches, but on a more or less dry day, dry roads, and it's just nice to be out a little bit. So we've had some mixed comments about a couple of the videos that I've put up. Some people said they were great and that they wanted to see more. Nobody said that they didn't want to see them, but looking at the back end of YouTube analytics, it's not the sort of content people particularly want to watch. Now there's 2 ways we can go there. We can keep putting some of those out just to keep some content coming out on the channel, or we can just not bother. And I think at the moment, whilst Ruth is struggling to get out, and when she hasn't got that kind of defined object of you know, I'm training, I'm learning to ride a bigger bike, and we haven't done that yet because we need to get sorted out with an instructor who will just take her out sort of the odd evening or the odd weekend day on a bigger bike. So until we do that, I think we probably will keep putting out a little bit of content that's a bit different, and just to kind of keep the channel alive and hopefully keep you guys entertained. Yeah, we'll see where we get. We'll see where we get to. But you know, as I think I was saying in one of Ruth's, was it the last video or the one before? You know, her content is obviously going to have to change because she's never going to be a learner forever. But my assessment of this situation is that people are not watching to see me. They probably suffer me, but they're not watching to see me. They're watching to see Ruth and what she's up to. Although you would like to think that that meant that there was an awful lot of interest from female motorcyclists, and judging by the channel analytics on YouTube, no, almost 100%. Well, actually, YouTube analytics says it is 100%, but we know that's not the case because we get comments from women. Well, but YouTube analytics says 100% of our viewers are male, and 100% of our viewers are, was it over the age of 40 or something? And you know, there's a couple of different age bands in there, but it's basically 40 plus men who watch Ruth's channel, so they're probably not watching for me. So if you're one of those 40 plus men, yeah, we'll get back to Ruth shortly when she sort of rebuilt her confidence about being on camera. And if you're not one of those 40 plus men, if you are a female biker, drop us a comment. Let us know you're here, because you're so few in number that YouTube analytics isn't even registering that you're watching. So if you are a female biker and you're enjoying Ruth's content, yeah, let us know, and we'll see how we get on. Because I think we might have said in previous videos, or we might have said in comments, neither Ruth nor I are aspiring to be a YouTube content creator. This is not really designed to be, you know, a YouTube channel that's going to grow to the point where it's going to give either of us a living. It's just us sharing our biking journey. There's two kind of elements to that. There was the first one really was the fact that, you know, Ruth is learning to ride a bike, and the journey's been right from the very start, from the day she picked her bike up all the way through to her passing her test, and now, you know, continuing onwards. Yeah, Ruth just interjecting there to tell me the anecdote that back in one of her previous videos, she was having a bit of a panic at this particular zebra crossing about starting and stopping, and what a transformation, what a different set of circumstances we find ourselves in when we're out on a bike ride these days, because, you know, she's quite accomplished. So yeah, the first objective really was just to document Ruth's journey as she learned to be a biker. But there's a second objective really as far as YouTube channel's concerned. And as I say, it's not because we're aspiring to be YouTubers or influencers or make a living from it, or even make any money from it. It's about the fact that we've got kids. And if I had had the opportunity to look back at videos of my parents when they were, you know, younger, and just have those memories captured, and just be able to go back and, you know, see and hear my parents doing whatever it was they were doing, you know, I would jump at the chance of that. But obviously that wasn't the generation I grew up in. I grew up in born in the late 60s and grew up in the 70s and 80s. So that just wasn't available. But our kids, they've got a completely different technological world in which they live in. And yeah, I suppose it's about sharing something so that they can look back and go, yeah, there's my folks. So no, he wasn't doing any prisoners. So it's a bit of a selfish reason really, this YouTube channel, as far as we're concerned. It's great that people enjoy the content, to the extent that they do. I think the last time I checked there was over 620 odd people who are subscribed. So somebody obviously enjoys what Ruth's doing or what we're doing, and it's great, and it's quite flattering. But it's not. This is never going to grow into something which is, an income or a lifestyle choice. It's just going to be what it is. But there is every intention of keeping videos coming out. But as you'll probably guess, our schedule is not exactly what you would call religious. So if you look at channels like the Missenden Flyer, or Teapot One, or Richie Vida, or any of these kind of vloggers, or username Kate, Safi Spocket. If you look at all these content creators, they're in it for the long game. They're in it, that's their living. That's what they're doing. They're releasing content on a regular basis. I think Missenden Flyer is twice a week, religiously twice a week. And I suppose that's what you have to do to keep the YouTube algorithm recommending your content to a wider variety of people. We're just not interested in that, to be fair. That seems to be the situation then when you're doing something with a purpose to make it a sustainable lifestyle business, really, and that's not our sort of main reason for doing this. That's not any reason for doing this. So we don't have to do that. But yeah, it will harm views, and it will harm subscriber counts, but as I say, that's not why we do it. So it's nice that we take you guys along with us. And it's lovely, and it's very gratifying for Ruth to hear all the comments about how she's developing and how she's learning as she goes along her journey into motorcycling. And but it's a byproduct, really. Lovely as it is, it's a byproduct, because principally we make these videos for us, really, as a family. I don't even think many of our friends watch these videos, because we haven't got an awful lot of friends who are bikers. Yeah, I'll make it. Yeah, we haven't got an awful lot of friends who are bikers. So my mate Mike's a biker, and you'll have seen him in some of the stuff that I've done. And his middle son Ben, he's a biker, although he's without a bike at the moment. Well, that's not true. He's without a bike that's roadworthy at the moment. Yeah, and so Mike and Ben they'll put an appearance in occasionally. But we don't have many friends who are bikers, and I think that means that probably a lot of people who are our friends don't watch the videos. But we got caught out a while back, because I think Ruth was speaking about our friend Judith, and the fact that she probably didn't watch the videos, but she obviously did, because she left us a comment or sent us a message. So yeah. Anyway, waffled on about that for far too long. But it's just nice to be back out again, and it is an absolutely glorious day. Yeah, it's just lovely to be out. I've been sort of scanning around the internet about what we might look at for a bigger bike for Ruth when she gets to that point, and I was toying between a CB500X and Triumph Tiger 660 Sport. Those are the two that I'd kind of narrowed it down to. But I see that Honda are bringing out a new bike, which is basically the CB500X uprated, and I can't remember what it's called. I'll probably put the name of it on the screen, because I'll have to look at it when I get back. But it's basically, it looks like the same bike but upgraded, and coming with a few other extras and bits and pieces, and obviously it'll have a different price tag because of that. But it's not going to be called the CB500X anymore, but it's looking like that's a reasonable prospect. But realistically, we're in November. I don't think Ruth's going to be up for doing any sort of motorcycle training when it's cold and wet. I mean, she's on her bike every day, she takes it to work, she commutes on it, but I don't think she'd want to be doing any sort of formal motorcycle training at this time of the year. So the chances are it's going to be in the spring before she does that, so probably into the middle of next year before she does her direct access or full bike test, which means it's probably going to be middle of next year, or towards the end of next year, maybe about 12 months time, before we're looking at getting her a bigger bike. So we'll see what's on the market then. But I was surprised that Honda had done the kind of upgrade to the CB500X, because they've only just upgraded it. I think the 2022 model still had a single disc at the front, and I think it was 2023, so just this last year, that they put twin discs on the front and did some updates, and then to change it again so soon would tend to indicate that that's probably the last change for a while for that model. So that might be the one to go for. The other thing is seat height for Ruth. So I think the CB500X and the Tiger 660 are both 830mm. Now, she sat on both of them. I don't think I've got any footage of that, but she has sat on both of them, and she's getting the tips of her toes down, but I'm not sure how comfortable she is with that. How comfortable are you with that, Ruth? Yeah, so I know she's not mic'd up, but what she's basically saying is she's not that uncomfortable with the prospect, because obviously the bikes that she's got on have been new bikes, and generally what happens is you get a new bike, and once you've done a couple of 100 miles on it, you'll find it lowers a little bit just as the suspension beds in. I don't know where you're going either, I'm just following you. Yeah, just bimble then. Yeah. So yeah, I think those are the two front runners, and I see that Safi Sprockets just recently changed her bike, so she's not on her SV650 anymore. She's got a CB500X. I don't know, because I haven't paid sufficient attention, whether that's an earlier version with a single disc at the front or the later version with the twin discs at the front. Let's see, she seems to get on with it pretty well. She's not really done a sort of review really. She did a bit of a walk round. But I think the difficulty with this is it doesn't really matter what I think is a good buy. It's going to matter what Ruth wants to ride, and she can't go and test ride any of these bikes till she's got her full license, or at least an A2. And I think that's really going to be the pinch point. She needs to get her test first, and then go and test ride some bikes. But I think the principal thing that we're concerned about for Ruth's perspective is that it needs to have decent weather protection. So it needs a decent sized screen, because it is cold if you're riding your bike all year. And it needs to have the availability to fit handguards, which obviously you can do on just about any bike as far as I'm aware. But heated grips would be good, and I suppose for longer journeys, cruise control at least as an option. And then the options are, do you buy a new bike, or do you get a second-hand bike? And that takes you into a whole other raft of decisions about whether or not you want something from new, so you know how it's been looked after, or whether you want something, you're prepared to get something that's second-hand, that's been pre-owned. And there are some really good second-hand bikes out there, because I think most people do tend to look after their bikes. But there's no getting away from the fact that the older your bike gets, the more TLC it needs. So I think I've looked after this bike pretty well, the one I'm on. I've had it since new, but there's still little rusty bits here and there. And so, yeah, another consideration. I think this is where we were supposed to... You said it was all knitted? They're great, aren't they?
Yeah. I've got some more displays inside apparently. But yeah, it looks impressive from a distance, that's for sure.
These purple ones are all knitted as well.
Yeah. 8,000 copies.
You're going to say hello?
No.
So before I start the bike up, just while there was any volume available anywhere, I just managed to demount the mounting system that I had for my microphone inside my helmet, so there won't be any audio on this part of the ride. Well, what audio there will be won't be particularly good. So I'll sign off now, and this madam's not particularly keen on speaking to the camera today, as you've probably just seen. We'll leave it there. So I will probably upload the next video in the series of me, Mike and Ben going round Scotland, see what interest people have in that, and we'll see you all next time we're out, when hopefully Madam here will be getting a game face on and happy to speak to everybody. But that's the life in a neurodiverse household. Sometimes it just doesn't go for you, so you just don't do it. So yeah, speak to you all next time.